You are watching the number one podcast in the whole entire YouTube wrestling community, and I'm one of your hosts, Juan.
And I'm your other host, John Paul Leck.
And together we are Raw Break. And since yesterday we covered NXT, it is time for AEW Dynamite. You know, another week of Wednesday Night Wars. We don't really like to call it like that. It's the last time you'll hear me saying it. And I think
he'll say it next week.
But no, I'm gonna try to remember that. But I think that like this show has a lot of opportunity. If they will book things better, if they will use the storylines with the talent that they have better, I think that the show will look a lot more interesting for me. Some things are okay, you know, the women's number one contender tournament begun, but also we had a main event, Falls Count Anywhere, a little over the place. We got Kenta, you know, like, so pretty much everything. New Japan, Impact, and AEW Alliance pretty much is going on. So, Paul, how we doing?
You know, pretty good, but I mean, you know, it would have been maybe a little bit better if I didn't have to watch 2 hours of this show. You know, last week I said it was a pretty decent episode. The week before I thought was a really good show. You know, that match with Jungle Boy and Dax, and it's like, okay, legit. You know, we're going, you know, in the right direction here. And then we get this week's episode, which, you know, there's a lot wrong and only a little bit right. So, you know, let's get into it.
Yes, let's get into it. You know, family, thank you so very much for the subscriptions, for the love that you give us. Thank you. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell for notifications. We put content every single week. And, you know, before we just do it, like, tell me a little bit about this. NXT, you know, the final stare-down face-off between the Prince and the Bruiserweight. You know, pretty decent episode for NXT, hyping us up for when it's going to be Vengeance Day.
Yeah, we had, you know, the two semifinal matches for the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classics for the men and the women. So we know the finals. It's Raquel Gonzalez, Dakota Kai going against the babyface team of Ember Moon, Shotzi Blackheart. And on the men's side, we have MSK going against the Grizzled Young Veterans. So both those matches should be, you know, good matches. And then everything else, you know, they hyped up for the card, like you had mentioned. Finn Balor, Pete Dunne, and I almost mixed the two names, almost called him Pete Balor, but you know,
Finn Dunne.
Yeah, exactly. Finn might be done. No. Finn's gonna retain, but this will be a great match. And then also, you know, we have confirmed. We thought maybe there was a scare, we weren't gonna see it, but confirmed Kushida, Johnny Gargano. And, of course, you know, the women's triple threat, Io Shirai, Raquel Gonzalez, Mercedes Martinez, and Toni Storm. So I'm really looking forward to this card.
I play dumb, you know, with the Kushida thing. Yeah. So, you know, like, they fool me. But, like, you know, Jean Paul said, no, don't be bullshit. Believe what the Raw Break says. And I'm like, you're right. So let's go, like, you know, don't forget to check that out. A great episode. And now let's go to, like, the first match that opened up Dynamite. You know, the TNT Championship on the line, Darby Allin against Joey Janela. Something that you mentioned, I will reiterate. I want to say it, like, Joey Janela completely misused. He might not be the greatest wrestler in the world, but at least if he will be featured, like, permanently in the show and maybe given, like, a different role, he will look more interesting and more legit, so to say, more solid. And because, like, his wrestling ability is not, I don't think it's questionable. I mean, most of the time he's got matches, he delivers a pretty decent show. So I don't know why he's like one week in and then next 2 months out and then one more week in. But like, I like this match. Like you said, I think it was a pretty good opening for Dynamite.
Yeah, and you know, I heard, you know, rumors, rumblings and stuff that even the AEW fans don't even care for Joey Janela. And that's crazy to me because they love everybody and they accept, you know, the garbage that they're given most weeks. And this match was actually really good, you know, because they actually wrestled. You know, they locked up and stuff. I mean, of course, you know, there was the suicide dives and stuff, but that's these guys. That's their forte. That's what these guys do. You know, they do the risk taking and stuff. But it wasn't like a Jon Moxley match where, okay, you know, 5 seconds into the match, we're going to be outside the ring for 2 minutes and the ref doesn't count us out because we're just, you know, hardcore garbage wrestlers and that's what we do. We just fight outside the ring. But no, they actually were in the ring wrestling. This was a good match, and I thought Janela actually looked good. I'm not going to be like, oh, you know, he's Terry Funk, he's Ric Flair. Mm-hmm. No, you know, we're not going to go that extreme. But for Joey Janela's sake, I thought he looked really good. So this was a good showing for him. And maybe he's trying to prove, like, hey, you know, I'm not just the bad boy, the hardcore, throw me in the thumbtack.
My girlfriend is not just hard,
Yeah, exactly. He's trying to be like, no, I can actually wrestle. So this was a good showing. If you go back last week, I will say I will eat crow or eat my words. I'm like, oh, I don't want to see this bullshit match. But this was probably, like, I thought, you know, besides the women's match we saw, the best match on the card.
Oh, yeah, it was pretty good, like you said. And I do like the suicide dive that, like, Darby does because at least it's really powerful. You know, he's in the second robe, and, you know, it's not like Candice, it's not Carmella, it's not said that it's just a push. He's just
Oh
like
yeah. Like Excalibur said it perfectly. It's like he got shot out of a cannon.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
he
So
flies and he literally like spears you doing a
yes,
suicide dive. Like you said, it's not Rollins who lands pretty much on his feet and pushes you,
and
and then it's
it's
like,
like beep, no, it's
yeah,
like actually he pushes you around and like pretty good. And Janela had a lot of opportunities to win the
yeah.
match
Now
also.
the only thing I don't like is they did a Canadian destroyer from the
Yeah,
top rope, which to me was more devastating than when Darby a little bit later on in the match. Janela kicked out of that, which was legit. Like I said, he looked good in this match, and then a little bit later on. I believe Janela he went for his elbow drop. Ooh yeah, he went for the elbow drop, and he didn't get it. And then Darby hits the coffin drop, pins him 1, 2, 3, and I'm like, well, that top rope Canadian destroyer would look a lot more devastating than the coffin drop.
yeah.
So that's why I was like, that's the only thing I don't like. And we see that a lot in wrestling nowadays where like they do crazy moves that look like they would hurt you more than the person's actual finisher, but it's the finisher that puts you away. But this was a good match, and I also liked it because no team has, no interference from them.
And like a lot of times that you said is like there is not needed the interference. You just don't have to have every single time people coming out. It's like in a match, stay clean. Can we get the winner out of the two guys that are involved in the
Exactly.
match? So I like that. So, Darby gets the win, and we go to John Moxley. He had a promo saying, Kenny Omega's been talking trash and looking like a dog for months. And he mentions Kenta. He's coming after like the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship, but that's going to be in February 26th, at New Beginning, in the USA end of the things. But like he says, this time it's just going to be, us, and we're going to have just a match, and that's what I want. So we're going to see like what happens. I mean, John Moxley promo wise, legit. I really like John Moxley when he cuts the promo. His matches maybe are not the most exciting things in the world, and we can make him misses Rollins and Roman forever. I don't know, for some reason, but that was okay. Let's go to this. I think this was like really good. Sammy Guevara, he comes into the Inner Circle's room and he said, "Road break guys, leave. Subscribe but leave." And then they kick X out of everybody. And then he gets MJF, and then they start talking, and finally they come clean with things. It's like, hey, I know that you want to like be the leader of the Inner Circle, and MJF is like, no, I don't want to be that. It's like, you want to be the leader of that. So then he records the thing that like he makes Sammy go like, oh yeah, I want to run the Inner Circle. I want to run the Inner Circle. And then he has like his phone, he records it, and he's like, oh, were you recording this thing? And then boom, he smashes the phone and into like the wall, and then he just punches like MJF. So that was a good promo, and I think. I want your thoughts about this. I think this is the break for Sammy Guevara. I think he's going to become a star now.
Yeah, he's going to definitely break away from this, because he even said, like, hey, like, I need some time. Now, remember when Matt Hardy said he needed some time and he was back the following week?
2 weeks.
So don't think Sammy Guevara is going to be gone for a while. I mean, even Trent Seven said, oh, I'm going to be gone for a while, and he showed up, So it's like, okay, let's see what's going to happen here, but maybe he's going to come back. Maybe he'll go back to where he had like the panda thing on, like when he first debuted, kind of go back to that. Yeah. Who knows? But he's babyface now. The Inner Circle, you could say, is a heel group. He's definitely broke away from them. He's babyface. The only problem I have with this, which is pretty much the problem with this whole, AEW as a whole, is there's no common sense or continuity or anything like that, because he's like, camera guy, come in with me. So the camera's recording this. The camera recorded MJF saying, haha, I tricked you into saying that I have it on my phone. Well, it don't matter if he has it on his phone, because Sammy could say, watch the fucking tape.
Yes.
So then it don't matter. You know what I mean? So MJF looks like an idiot. So
yeah, man.
That's the only problem I had with that. But otherwise, it was a good segment. So.
Yeah, and like I see, like I think this whole thing of the Inner Circle is just like to push Guevara. It's just to give the final break that he's had, because we've said it like a few weeks ago also, like he's been having really great matches. He's really solid in the ring. He's just waiting an opportunity to just not be with the Inner Circle. I like that, and also like MJF saying like, oh, like, Jericho is like, you're like his golden kid. So I like that. So let's go to the next match. Cody Rhodes and Lee Johnson. Debuted in Lee Johnson on Dynamite. Pretty good wrestler, I think. I think it was a good show for him against Peter Avalon, or Rick Rude wannabe, and Cesar Bononi. This was a good match. For like at least for Johnson. Cody, I don't know why he does these matches. I think he tries to help out new talent just by being with them in the ring. And I mean, Avalon, what's there to say about the librarian? Do I like this thing? Not really. But only looks okay. He looks more like believable than like Peter Avalon. But what do you think of this?
I like, Lee Johnson in this, and the whole point of this was to kind of get him over.
Yes.
Which it did until the end of the match. Now, there was a point where Lee Johnson, I believe he hit his finisher. I don't remember what it was. I'm going to be honest, I don't remember what it was. He hit like a big move, and then Benoni, was it Benoni? Yeah, he broke. Yeah, he broke. Yeah, macaroni. He broke up. He broke up the pin, and it was like, oh, what the fuck? Like, okay, like why couldn't he have his boom hit his finisher pin to get his first victory? No, he had to get it in a roll up, and to me, that's like a bullshit way to end it. So I didn't like that. And then I mean, Cody. I like how Cody kind of he was there. He did his stuff. He didn't do too much. Like when Cesar Bononi came in, Cody kind of came in as well, fought him to the outside. Then it was the two legal men, Avalon and Lee Johnson, which I like that. It wasn't like Cody stole the show. At least he didn't steal the show while the match was going on. Then, afterwards, Lee Johnson wins. Okay, the baby faces are there. The whole Nightmare family has to come out. QT, Dustin, all them. Of course, Arn was there to begin with. And they're talking, and they ask Lee Johnson, how does it feel to get your first win? And he's like, oh, I'm 1-29. And it's like, what were you going for, Kurt Hawkins' record or something here? Like,
Brian Myers here. Right,
yeah, exactly. And it's, and he's like, oh, I wouldn't have been able to do it if it wasn't for Cody Rhodes, Arn Anderson, Dustin, even Brandy. I was like, oh, gag me with a freaking spoon. I'm like, you got, like, really? So he has to put all of them, he has to put the whole Rhodes family over. Instead of it being about him, it's about them. So that killed this for me. I didn't like this. This could have been on AEW Dark. I didn't need to see Cody Rhodes just jerk himself off even more. It's like he looked the best, but what was that match where it's like Ultimate Warrior, Hogan, and Tito Santana or something back in the day? And it's like Tito's the most legit out of the three, but nobody cares about Tito. That's how this was.
That's how
it was like, Lee Johnson is the most legit, but Cody and Arn and Brandy and Dustin and
it's like all of the. Yeah, that's the one thing is like, can you just give the guy like his time? It's 5 seconds. It's one episode. It's not pay-per-view. It's not Revolution. It's not like.
That's why I said let him hit that finisher, that Fisherman's Buster, whatever it is. Let him hit that and get the win and be legit.
Yep, and what happens is like also we got reports, and this is actually confirmed. It's not me, being 5 years old. No, Cody is injured. He got it. It's not a bad injury, but like
and you can go away, and you can go away.
I mean, like Cody right now is a little like lost because of all this situation with Shaq. It's not really a good rivalry. Randy getting pregnant that didn't help out the situation because to
me it did because Red Velvet is probably 100 times of a better wrestler than
Brandy. It's a good break for Red Velvet, so that's a good thing for them. But like you said, it's a pretty okay match. It's just to get over Lee Johnson. Hopefully,
but I don't think it did though.
Yeah, like I hope that like we see him next week and the week after and the weeks to come. Mm-hmm. We get to see him. Maybe then he finally breaks up with like the Nightmare family, and then he can have his own character because like playing like I'll be so thankful to every single one of the Nightmare family. I don't really like that either. But that's what we have. So move on. Now Young Bucks, and the Good Brothers, and the Good Brothers come. So what's up, guys? And then they're talking to the Young Bucks, and then they're talking about like sorry that like when they have like the Battle Royal, we kind of tried to help out. They didn't really help out, and then Jericho and MJF are the number one contenders, so they were just talking about that. But like you said, do the impersonation of the Young Bucks.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, they're trying to talk to the Young Bucks. They're like, oh, you guy or whoever it was, Dasha. She's like, oh, she's like, what happened? Like, oh, you guys didn't win that battle royal. What happened? And before they can talk, like you said, the Good Brothers came, and they're like, no, we were trying to screw over Private Party, not you guys, and it wasn't us who eliminated you. It was Santana and Ortiz. You guys have heat with them. You don't have heat with us. And, for some reason in AEW, they love using, like, the inside terms that are just supposed to be for the wrestlers. They love saying them on TV. So, again, they just want to kill kayfabe, make it, even though nothing on the show is actually believable. But, they come out and they saw all this stuff, and then Matt's like, he's like, listen, Nick, listen, you know what? He's like, we're going to, even though we're not going to wait to Revolution. Hear me out, man. Hear me out. We're going to go against Santana and Ortiz next week. Okay, you can go against them and you can beat them, but why do you have to put the titles on the line?
Oh, yeah, it's true.
To me, it's just so stupid. And like you had said, if you're going to put the titles on the line, that should be Jericho and MJF going, whoa. Yeah. We're next in line. We don't need to wait to Revolution. What the hell do we care if it's Revolution, or whatever. We don't care what day it is. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we don't care when. We're the next in line. So as soon as you're putting the belts on the line again, it's us. It's not whoever you want. But see, it is whoever they want because the Young Bucks run the show.
Yes, and they go. The Good Brothers offer like to go for Too Sweet. Matt wants to go with it, but then Nick is willing to just I mean, Matt doesn't want to do it, and then Nick just want to do it, and then they go and break. Kind of like you see tension. Like this reunion is not working. A lot of people are hating,
and they even said they're like, oh, Too Sweet, and they're like, no, don't do it. That's our thing, and they're like, no, Wolfpack, brother, NWO, and I'm like, they're all like just marks.
And the one thing again is because they brought Kenta and all of that. So like, who's the real Bullet Club? Like, oh, you wanted to do Bullet Club? Well, they're Bullet Club. So somebody will come and say, we're the original.
No, don't keep. The only thing I'm gonna say is, I do like certain aspects of not this show that was on last night, but Dynamite as a whole. But don't keep imitating WCW, or you're gonna end up like them.
Yes, yeah, like you need to do your own thing. That is true, like because a lot of things go around the same way that they had it before.
History repeats itself, if you don't learn from it.
You're gonna get the same result. So like, yeah, there you go. We go to like Matt Hardy, like he's like talking to Adam Hangman Page, and he's like, hey, I got some money, I got like a bar just for you and me, legit, come with me, let's have some time. He's like, nothing bad here, man. Hangman is, I just want to like talk, see how you feel about things. I know you don't want to be in a tag team, but it's all good. Let's go for a drink. So Hangman is about to leave, and he sees like the Dark Order, and this is like the 5-year-old thing because you see all the friends that want to like hang out with you, and he's like, so I'm gonna go with like my other friend that like I guess is more popular because see all these guys are like so short. Hangman right there. I don't know.
That's like when you leave a job or something, and then somebody's like, hey, they're upset because they thought you were like family, and you're like, family? We're not like family, you know what I mean? And that's how like they see Hangman. They're like, oh, Hangman, Oh, I love how they're like, oh, where are you going? And he's like, oh, and he just like sells them, and they're like, oh, stupid, like I shouldn't have said that. And it's funny because of how like sad they are.
Yes.
Like it's like almost pathetic.
Yes.
The way they're acting. And of course, like Anna Jay's the most serious one. She just stands there and just kind of has this like stern look on her face. And the rest are all like, ugh.
Yeah.
I mean, the ones with the mask you can't see, but I'm sure they're crying too.
It was like I said, funny. Like I didn't mind it, but it's just funny. Like all of them showing Hangman like really tall and all of that. So let's go like to Pac. Like the Bastard Pac, look how ripped he is. That, my God, like those steroids all the way down, baby. And the same thing for like the Hollywood hunk, Ryan Ziegler or Ryan Nemeth, the brother of Dolph. Like, I mean, he didn't have a good showing for me. I was thinking like maybe like Zigzag, maybe Famous Air, maybe Super Kick. I'm here to show the world, and he showed the world that like he's not legit yet. So it was a pretty 5-minute match, and Pac dominated the whole entire thing. Really good showing for Pac. I mean, he needs like goal, or he needs to be in a meaningful feud because he's being wasted like all time. The only time that he was like cool when he beat Omega, and they mentioned that Pac is one of the few guys that has a win over Kenny Omega. Yeah,
I believe they said he's the Omega only has 2 singles losses, so I believe it was
Moxley,
Pac, and then I guess Moxley, was it in that unsanctioned?
Yeah.
So, I mean, technically, that doesn't even count then, really.
Exactly.
So it was, if you want to go by technical, it was just Pac. So hopefully this was just an in-between thing. I still want to see him in the main event. Maybe after they're done with this whole bullshit Kenta and Lance Archer, John Moxley feud that makes absolutely zero sense. And I'm sure there's going to be somebody who's like, what do you mean? It makes perfect sense. But we'll get to that in the main event. But, I mean, I think you got to do Pac versus Kenny Omega one-on-one for the title. Even if you don't give the title to Pac, he deserves at least that opportunity.
Like having a championship opportunity. I agree with you. Like if Nemeth or like Ziggler, however you want to call it, like he's just like they're grooming him. So I think that like these losses is just hey, be legit, stay with it, stick with it.
And I'm fine with him getting his ass kicked because it's like hey, if it was somebody else, maybe if it was him versus a Brian Pillman Jr., okay, then they could have a little bit of a more competitive match. But this is Pac. He's main event. You got to keep him look dominant. If he's in there, because that's another problem I have with Cody Rhodes matches. When Cody Rhodes wrestles Peter Avalon with a 10-minute match, that's saying that Peter Avalon can go 10 minutes with Cody Rhodes, which he shouldn't. Ryan Nemeth, he goes 3 minutes with Pac because that's all he could last.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Exactly. Because Pac is that much better, and that's what a squash match does. It shows you, well, this guy's, so much better. It only took him this many minutes or this many seconds to beat this guy.
Yes, and you can see in the picture Saxon Huxley, Pac, going with the brutalizer and done. So now, Paul, let's go to the next match, and that's Chris Jericho and MJF going against the Acclaim. So, this match was good in the sense of, the Acclaim are a pretty great tag team. Like they're trying to make these guys look like, for example, NXT has MSK, like you said, new breed of like tag teams, and these guys are pretty good. It's the same pace. It's fast. They know their moves. Their coordination is there. Chemistry is right there. So I like the sequences that they have in between the match. MJF can go with them alongside Jericho. You have to go a lot more paceful. But I like what the Acclaim is doing. Like the John Cena wanna be one of the characters that they have. I like that. They come out with the raps. He was making fun of Jericho, making fun of MJF, all of that. I do like this. Like I said, like I feel that like they should be the number one contenders instead of Jericho and MJF, actually, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they're growing on me just because I'm actually seeing them on Dynamite. I'm not going to watch AEW Dark. They have 1,000 matches on that show, and we watch enough wrestling as it is. Yes. So it's like I can't watch that. So I'm glad to see these guys actually on Dynamite, and they're getting over with me. I like them. I mean, the rap thing is okay. Some of the he's really clever and funny, with the rap, so I don't mind it. But they're good wrestlers. Like when they said their weight, it was almost 500 pounds, or it was a little over 500 pounds for these two guys because they're tall and they're big. And I did like a little bit the promo they played for a couple seconds before the match. It was cut off. But MJF said, if it wasn't for me, you two assholes wouldn't even be signed here. And it's like people might be like, what are they talking about? All three of them come from Brian Myers' school. The CAP, Creative Pro Wrestling. So that's why I would love to see a crossover, bring Brian Myers over to be like, all right, kids, you're all being bullshit. I got to calm you down. I trained you.
Maybe later. They will do it.
Yeah, because, they do have a deal with Impact. So that I would like to see. But, I like that history and all that. And, of course, MJF selling the ribs. I think, like, his first bump, he rolled out of the ring and he's like, oh, like, I'm done. And I love how Shivani's like, let's see if those ribs are actually hurt. Kick him again. Because Shivani, that's like Shivani's good.
Sometimes Tony can be,
because when he hates MJF. But I mean, this was good, but we knew how this was going to end. Was the Acclaim going to get the upset win? Were the number one contenders going to look weak and look bullshit going into the match? No.
No, and the only thing, and I have to keep reading every single week that I see you do the reviews, is like it bothers me that like at the end is like it's the greatest match in the world. It's going good, and then he just turns around, does this, and that's it. I love the guy. I wish him he will be my dad. It's fine, but I just don't like that Judas effect. It just does not have the effect that it should have. It's like you're going good, and just an elbow is done.
Yeah, I mean, if he could hit it like Andrade. Yeah. Okay.
Or like Kairi Sane.
Yeah, and how about Kairi Sane? I think she did the spinning back fist. I don't think she did an elbow.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe she did, but you know what? If she did, she'd probably hit it better than Jericho. So
yeah. So like,
and also with Shaq, when we talked about with Cody, Shaq. Oh, I'm gonna do the Black Tornado, which is literally a Judas effect. So great. Yeah. Now we're gonna see two Judas effects.
Yes. Yeah. So like that was the only thing, but like you said, like it was a good showing for both of them. But then we get to see Sammy in the ring. Like he goes there and then he's like, what's your problem? Jericho's like, what the hell's going on with you, Jean Paul? You want to leave Rope Break? He goes, no. And he's like, like I need time. And then
Rope Break wants to leave me.
Yeah. He says Rope Break wants. Yeah. Like so, Guevara said, I need time. I'm quitting the Inner Circle. I need to just refocus. I need to have my own show with showing my toys. No, Jean Paul mentioned no. He's just Sammy just says I'm done. Like he quits. He leaves the ring and then he goes back. He goes to the back while Jericho, just like try to like collect himself and like he is really upset. You can see that. And after that, his interview by like I think it was Sasha, like Dasha Fuentes. And
Alex Marvez.
The what is the breath?
The emotionless Alex Marvez.
And also like the guy that like has the breath of like rats.
Rats having an orgy.
Yes, yeah. Again, it's time, to like rethink of things. I like this a lot. Why? Because again, it's just the big break that he needs. And out of all of them, the one guy that can stand on his own is Sammy Guevara. Because Hager, yeah, but the character is not there. He doesn't talk. Santana and Ortiz completely wasted.
Yeah, Santana and Ortiz. I mean, I would love if the Good Brothers would screw the Young Bucks somehow next week and they would win the titles. I would love that, and then we would see them versus Jericho and MJF at Revolution. So then it would just completely just destroy the entire Inner Circle. Yes. And Santana and Ortiz can do their own thing. And then let's say Jericho and MJF lose at Revolution. Jericho could be like, you cost me Santana and Ortiz. You cost me Sammy Guevara. You're a piece of shit. And then maybe they feud then they
Yeah.
have some matches and stuff. But
Yeah.
they're not going to do that, of course. Okay, Jean Paul. The Young Bucks aren't going to drop the titles for probably like 2 more years. So I don't know what I'm thinking, but to me, what you got to do is Sammy Guevara is him, Darby Allin, and I'd love to see him be TNT champ. Now, the
Oh, yeah.
only thing with that is if he beats Guevara, if he beats Darby Allin, but Brian Cage couldn't, how does that make Brian Cage
Ricky
look?
Starks, like that's too many things involved. But you're right. Hopefully, maybe in like a few months, let Sammy have like a few matches, maybe like a feud with MJF. That's in the works. That's gonna happen like this. Even for Revolution time, he might have the feud with MJF. We'll see what happens, but that's good. I like this, and finally, I don't want the Inner Circle to break up, but his night hasn't feel like the Inner Circle for over a year now. So we'll see what happens on that. Let's go with like it's Sting. Every single show he has to be there. Like I said, his momentum, he's like, what is it called? Like, his aura completely wasted, gone. I don't want to see him because he's just like there for interviews. I don't like that. So he's just like Tony Giovanni's interviewing him. Then Taz and Will Hobbs interrupt, say that they have a passenger and they're gonna go take it to a road trip to like fuck the world, the fuck the world thing. The camera just pans and reveals Ricky Starks and Brian Cage sipping Darby Allin, so they put him in another zippy bag. I don't know what you think about this, but they do.
In the body bag, yeah. This was, and then of course Sting like slowly, but like he tries to look like he's in a hurry, but he's not because he's 61-year-old man, so he's trying to like run after them, and it's like Sting, like, do you have a car? Are you gonna drive after them? By the time you get to your car, obviously it's like, okay, it's kayfabe. Of course he has to go, check on his, his adopted son or whatever the hell Darby is to him. Yeah, the bunch of hoodlums, but he had to go check on him. And I don't know. I guess if I had to choose interfere in that opening match or this segment, I guess I'd rather have this segment than have him interfere in the opening match. But I don't know. Is this gonna mean anything? Is it gonna, because they don't sell any injuries? Is because if they did, Darby Allin could I'm beat up and the street fight at Revolution, like, I'll be there, but he could be beat up and then maybe more of the weight would fall on Sting's shoulders, so Sting would look good, baseball bat and shit, but I don't think they're going to do that. He's probably going to show up in a week or two, act like nothing ever happened.
And my main problem with that is like all these things that like, quote unquote legit, right? You do the heel things, the tactics, like you cause them like injuries, you're like wearing them down, in Indian Revolution, what is going to happen?
Yeah, Sting. Is Sting gonna lose? Is Sting gonna lose his first match on AEW? No,
it's not WWE. It's not WrestleMania. It's not Triple H. Like they're gonna have to make it up to him. So
it's
like,
not the King of Kings. No.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like I can't get behind again. I always say this to you, and you know this. I can't get behind like things that like already in them. For me, I know what is gonna end. So exactly. Like it's a good idea, but like also like Team Taz like could like be feuding with somebody else that they can win.
And that's one of the biggest problems with AEW. There's no Isaiah Swerve Scott. Everything is just completely laid out. And
it's a straight line. It's a straight line, and I don't like that. But anyway, let's go to Adam Hammond Page and Matt Hardy. There you go. He's like, Matt, slowly but surely, he's making sure that Adam Hammond Page is having a great time. And, he's not begging just to have a tag team with him, but, he's kind of like begging but not begging. He's just like putting it out there so he can make him like millions on, like, and then he offers like a 30% of the earnings that they're going to have. So like you can see Matt Hardy like just pushing to be a tag team. And then Adam says that like Matt needs to resign him as well. And then he immediately leaves, go to do big money things. Like I like this new Matt Hardy at least. Not a little bit heel, not completely heel, but like you can see that like he's trying to get something without a
Oh yeah, and I think this is gonna be a little bit of a feud for Hangman, which is good because he was drunk and he's like, oh yeah, sign this contract, blah blah blah, like let's work together. And of course Hangman, like I said, he was drunk, so he's like, okay, yeah, it's legit. And like you said, he's taking some of Hangman's money, and I love how he's like, oh cameraman, he's like, record this because when he sobers up, he's probably gonna be pissed. So let's let's document this so we can be like, no, you signed it, whatever. Don't try to say you didn't. So this is good. And like I said, if it's a feud between the two of them, it'll be a good match. Hangman's good. Matt Hardy when he's not changing his clothes in ice boxes and underwater and all this other stuff. Matt Hardy can still go. So I like this. And like Big Money Matt, kind of going back to what. That character, I guess you could say, that he played an impact. So, this is pretty good. I don't have really any problem with this.
No, exactly. And you know what? I want to just add to what you said is like, the one thing that Jeff never had and Matt always did was the ability to morph into something different. Completely different. We got like version 2.0 or 2.0 or
and then,
1.0.
But do you know the one thing that Jeff had that Matt didn't?
What?
I was gonna say like legit championship gold.
Oh well, yeah, no, but you know what I mean. I'm just saying like.
Oh yeah, no. I'm just joking.
The character development. At least Matt can go to these avenues like to stay relevant. Look, Jeff.
Mm-hmm. Done. Yeah. Well, when they feuded, Matt and Jeff, and Matt says like, I was the glue, I was the brains, I was the one who, gave us and got us all these opportunities. I was the, pretty much the manager of the two of us. That's all true. Yeah, if Jeff was the one in charge, they probably wouldn't have been as legit.
There would have been no more titles, yeah.
No more words.
There would have been no more titles, but you're right. Let's go to the girl side. The finally number one contender tournament started. So, we got to see the legit. I love the introduction. Legit Layla Hirsch against Thunder Rosa. Pretty good match. It bothers me that like it was this like in the first round. I would have much rather to see like in the second round, even the semifinal between these two, because just Layla has like a lot of potential for me. Really great wrestler. Maybe not character, because it's like more like an MMA that transitions to professional wrestler. I don't really, I think that like she needs to find herself as a person. But like other than that, I like this. I really like the match. And Thunder Rosa, of course, like she puts great matches. She's upset because of the last week like lost to like Britt Baker, but I like this a lot.
Yeah, I like this match as well. Like you said, Layla Hirsch, I believe she, has like the amateur wrestling and all that stuff. So it's like, okay, almost like a mini female Kurt Angle kind of deal. And it's like, you can do something with that. But the problem is, like, there's barely any women on the show that actually have character. We see Serena Deeb a lot, but she really doesn't have a character. The only ones who really do is Brandy, unfortunately, Thunder Rosa, Britt Baker, and that's kind of pretty much it. Like Penelope, she kind of was getting there, and then no, she's just Kip Sabian's, hot wife. That's all she is now, and thankfully we don't see Big Swole anymore. But we definitely need Chris Statlander, even Hikaru Shida. Where's she been?
Yeah,
she's the champ, and I know they have this tournament. Is she hurt? Is it COVID? AEW, they don't like to mention COVID just as much as anybody else. So who knows? Maybe she's sick. We don't know what's going on, but like, let's see the champ. Why she should be out there on commentary watching this. If you want to put somebody on commentary that makes sense, put her out there. Yeah, she can be like scouting it. Oh, Shida, what do you think of that? Like, what if Thunder Rosa, what if she runs the gauntlet, so to speak, and makes it in the finals? What do you think? Then she could say, oh, I'd love to face her. She's a great opponent, blah, blah, blah. That would, to me, would make this tournament feel more legit.
Oh, yeah. Hirsch. It will make it better, but like you said, like just the match quality was pretty good. Like Layla had like a good dominance throughout the match, but in the end, Michinoku driver, and Thunder Rosa gets the win. Of course, the right winner. Why? Because it's Thunder Rosa. I mean, she can go for gold anywhere, and she chose to stay in AEW, so that's fine. So I have for you the brackets right there. Layla Hirsch, Thunder Rosa was the first one she advances. Serena Deeb and Riho. That's the one that I'm thinking for Serena Deeb, but I'm thinking Rico's coming back. And
I don't like that opening match at all because like the way especially when you look on the right side of the bracket and it's all the Japanese women and they're all Kenny Omega's they're probably all his like girlfriends or his sisters. They probably have sleepovers and they paint his toenails and all that stuff and but it's I don't like this because like I said, Riho is probably going to go over.
Yeah,
and to me that's not a good choice. The semifinals of this, I would love to see Serena Deeb and Thunder Rosa because, like we said, they put on the best women's matches in the show's history.
Yeah,
so that should be the finals. It's not going to be, unfortunately. I mean, at least the finals on the American side, but hopefully,
I think it's going to be Tay Conti. I mean, not that. I think it's going to be Nyla Rose and Britt Baker. It's going to be Nyla Rose against Britt Baker. I think it's going to be the same because Tay Conti is not going to go over. And
it couldn't be. They could only be the quarterfinals, unless you mean the semifinals.
The quarterfinals. Yeah. So I think that that's going to be. And I mean, in the other side, in the right side, I think it's going to be Yuka Sakazaki. It's going to be Emi Sakura because they love Freddie Mercury for some reason. I never did. And Mizunami and Kadokura. So, I don't even know these girls. A lot of girls from Stardom. Like I know Cornette was really upset because, like you said, he mentioned something about the fetish from Kenny Omega. So I mean, the one thing is like they're even gonna have the Japan side is gonna be on Monday. They're gonna
Yeah,
broadcast
it's
that
gonna
on
be
Monday.
like on YouTube and stuff, and it's like, who's gonna watch it? Let's say you have 600, 700,000 people, on average who watch this show. You're probably gonna get 6 to 7 people who watch the thing on Monday, because it's like,
Yeah,
who's gonna watch? Obviously, it'll be more. I'm just being an asshole, but it's like, nobody's gonna watch that. You want the stuff to feel legit. You want these people to get over. You have to have it on Wednesdays from 8 to 10.
yeah.
Even
Or at least,
even
like for example, if you wanna let's say we have a lot of the shows, at least give me 7 to 8. At least I guess like get behind hyping up Dynamite. Even Impact is gonna have a 7 to 8 show now. Like everybody's gonna have that 7 to 8 3 hours. Thank you, Monday Night Raw. Jean Paul and I, we thank you for that. But like I think it's gonna be a pretty good tournament on the USA side. We'll see at the Japan side what happens. But now let's go to like Jungle Boy. He had an interview with Jim Ross and also like talking about how he had this match with Dash and he is a changed man. He wants to like go back at these guys. He feels that like Marco Stunt is in good shape. He's okay, because like they kidnap him, Tolly and the other members of FTR. So he feels that he's a changed man, but like he's putting this match over it, and he says that like he's gonna come back and be a different Jungle Boy. He's gonna make Hardwood his bitch. So like, like pretty good interview. I mean, Jungle Boy has a lot of character, and I feel that like another misused tag team. Don't you think? Jurassic Express. Lots of hype.
Yeah. I mean, they are, and
that.
then they didn't capitalize on. They were the hottest team, I think, when AEW started.
Yep.
They were the most over. They didn't capitalize. It should have been. I said it. Go back in the archives. I said Jurassic Express, Lucha Bros, finals of this tournament. What happened? SCU and the fucking Shoeless Wonders beat the Lucha Bros, and it was like, well, here we go. Then it screwed up my whole bracket. They didn't capitalize on them. Then they had Jungle Boy in a singles role, and he got over in that. So now the tag team kind of went to Luchasaurus and Marco Stunt, and nobody gives a shit about Marco Stunt. So it's kind of just they don't really know where they're at unless they're going to introduce 6-man belts or like not 6-man but like a 3-man tag. Yeah. Unless they're going to do something like that. I don't really see these guys winning tag gold soon because, like I said, the Young Bucks, they got the stranglehold on those tag titles.
They're not dropping into them. Absolutely right. So let's go to the main event, Paul. Finally, Falls Count Anywhere. There you go. Like Kenny Omega and Kenta making his debut on AEW, going against Lars Archer and Moxley. So I want to hear from Jean Paul because like this was okay, but all over the place. They went through pretty much the whole building, in and out, coming back. They went to like like the kitchen. They were putting turnovers in. They were putting bacon. They were putting roast beef. Like right away, go to the toys. So they do this stipulation, so they don't really have to wrestle. They just pretty much base it on the toys. Good performance by Lars Archer. I have to admit that was a pretty good stuff, and I'm actually get behind him as a babyface just because of how dominant he looked with Omega and Kenta. I love like how he did like chokeslam all over the place, both of them. Like he looked really, really good. Moxley, Moxley is just Moxley. Like I will never can mention like if it's not hardcore matches. Like I don't think like I've ever said like he has the match of the night. But I think he looked okay, and at least he was able to pull like the United States Championship from New Japan. So I want to hear from Paul.
Yeah, and I mean, I wish he would have shown this title off on TV more. They mention other promotions, they mention other titles. Maybe New Japan said, "Oh, you can't show the belt." Maybe that's what the whole thing was. But I'm glad he finally acknowledges it. But like I said, I wish he would have been able to do it before. And I really didn't like this match or care for it. I mean, the ending of it, when they were actually in the ring and the stuff was going on there, okay, yeah, then I could get into it. But the whole fighting backstage and, Moxley's punching the guys really stiff. And, the term for that is, he's potatoing them. And then, of course, he picks up a potato and it's like, potatoing, potato, it's supposed to be funny. And it's like, yeah, this whole show is funny, but not in the way that you want it to be. And they fight in the back, like you said. The DDT on the table in the kitchen and all this stuff. I just couldn't get into it. I don't like it. And for some reason, okay, Lance Archer is a heel, and he's feuding with another heel in Eddie Kingston, and then all of a sudden he's now a babyface with Jon Moxley. But last time they really had interactions, it wasn't, that they were friends. And if you want to go to the New Japan stuff because of Kenta, last time they interacted in New Japan was for the belt that Moxley took from him.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't understand why he's helping him. I mean, so to me, again, when you have no continuity and the things don't make sense and it doesn't, that takes me out of it completely. And Omega, the more we see of him every week as champ, the more I'm just waiting for them to finally get Hangman Page ready to take the belt off him, which I don't think they're going to do. I think they're going to be like John Paul, keep on dreaming, forget that. And, I don't know really where they're going to go with this. Jake the Snake came in, he.
I like that though.
Yeah, I mean, who did he hit? I believe it was close because the Good Brothers came in, so he hit Carl Anderson.
Yeah, the Good Brothers also came out because distraction is no DQ, so they're allowed to interfere. So yeah, you're right. But I want him to hit the DDT though.
I don't think I think if he hits the DDT, I think he'll sell the injury more than the guy he hit the DDT on. So I don't think he's gonna do it. But I mean, yeah. So they were beating him up, and then that was kind of a thing. And what did you think of the ending when clearly Omega probably could have lifted up Lance Archer and hit the the one-winged angel, but he had to have the Good Brothers help him? To me, that makes him look like he's a pussy.
It's not good. I don't know if he can really lift him up. That's the one thing. But I was thinking, if you're gonna have that problem, just have Moxley. I don't care. You know what I mean? Just have because the move needs to look good. If it is your finisher, it needs to look good. And I didn't like that either. I picked that on that. I like
because I'm like, what? Like that looks like bullshit. So you're saying in a one-on-one match, if it is
you
need
the Good Brothers to come out and then you can do the move, or I like when Archer did the chokeslam and then he hit Omega into a table or an ounce or something. It had that was good.
And don't do old school. I know he doesn't do the old school with the arm coming down. He does it into a moonsault, but no, that's Taker. That's Taker only.
I mean.
Don't be doing the old.
He's trying to act like a big guy, but I just the one thing, I said, the one day help him with the one-wing angel. I'm really. I'm and then not even Kenta get what did you think of Kenta? Good showing, okay. I mean,
no, I mean not. I mean, he hit the goat, and then Peter Avalon was out there for some reason, and he hits the goat. Can Kenta not hit his own finisher?
Yeah.
Every time he hits the go to sleep, it's like when Dakota Kai. It must be the goat. It must be that move. Because when she hits her, go to, whatever she calls it, the go to kick or go to Kai, whatever the hell she calls hers, it looks like she's 10 feet away from hitting him. Same thing with Kenta. If you go back and watch from last week when he hit the go to sleep on Moxley, he was at least 6-7 inches away from hitting his face. Yeah. And, the same thing here on Peter Avalon. It's like, if you can't hit your finisher, get a new finisher. And then this guy's, maybe that's why NXT was like, nah, hey, goodbye. Because they're like, hey, maybe he's not that legit,
We'll see. I mean, I think that, right winners, yeah, we knew that this was going to happen. Kenny Omega and Kenta, they need to, and then New Japan will not send a guy to lose. That's not what's going to happen. And, Moxley, he can afford the win. That's fine.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, if you really wanted to get it over, it should have been V-trigger. Have the Good Brothers hold, Lance Archer. Omega hits the V-trigger knee, whatever. He's stunned. Then he picks him up, go to sleep. Boom, and then it's at least Kenta gets the pin.
That's my point. Remember, that's what I asked about Kenta, because I'm shouldn't the new guy have the finisher and then get the win?
But maybe they see how shitty he does it, and they're like, let's just do it.
Oh, remember, he tried to lift him up, and he couldn't, because he's a lot heavier. So, and, Kenta's probably look like me, he tries to look like a move on you. So, I don't know if I'm going to be able to pick you up for that long, and on top of that, send you to my knee. So, but other than that, I think that the match, they did give it time. I will say that. Why it was 25 minutes or so, because they went, like I said, all over the building and all of that. So I got to give him that. But the note on this show, not as great as the past weeks. But again, there's always room for improvement. And we mention all the time is they will have a steady booker or ideas that go with a guy that can filter ideas rather than, I'm Cody, I want to do this. Or I'm the Bugs, I want to do this. Or we do it that way. No, maybe he filters it. They're that sounds okay, but let's leave it for 2 weeks or something like that. That's what I want to say from that. You and your closing thoughts before we leave?
I mean, you summed it up perfectly, and we say it each and every week. They have the parts, they have the talent with some people. I'm not saying everyone's talented, but they have talent on the roster, and, they have the production. Obviously, Tony Khan has his daddy's money, but they just don't know what they're doing.
In a lot
That's
of
the problem with
situations.
the show. They have no clue what they're doing. Each and every week, if you break down, there's no consistency. The storylines, one week they're going left, and the next week they're going right. Things just don't make sense.
Yes, so that's what we have for you guys. Don't forget next Friday night, absolutely live. Jean Paul, myself, we'll be covering SmackDown. We're going live for every single one of you, so be with us. Yeah, 15 minutes after the show is over with every single thing, like we do it every single show. Don't forget, be with us for that show. SmackDown. Edge hopefully will be back also. Like, it wasn't a bad show last week. Actually, more elements that Seth Rollins is going to come back also, so implications of what Edge going to be choosing, and also Kevin Owens coming back. Also Saturday, don't forget, Jean Paul again, myself, No Surrender, Impact. We're going to be there live also, so be there with us. And also we close the week with NXT Takeover Vengeance Day. For the ones that like Valentine's Day, we're going to be your Valentine, delivering the best information. So don't forget, subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. And where else can they find us?
And then don't forget, follow us, Rope Break on Facebook, the OG Rope Break on Twitter, Original Rope Break on Instagram, and click subscribe on the #1 podcast in the YouTube wrestling community, the Original Rope Break.
In a few hours, we have NXT UK, so be with us for that also. So you and me have one more thing that is left to say, and that is...